must try and get a proper schedule and proper lists of what I'm going to talk about and stuff. But one question I've been wondering is really, what do people want? Because I'm trying to do like Ask Me Anything sessions and so on, and people don't really ask me anything or at all. So do people want videos? Do they want live streams? Sorry, moving the camera around. Would they rather have something else? Do let me know, because one of the perks of being a paying subscriber is you get to use the comments, you get to use the chat. So give me a shout. Let me know either what I can talk about or if you'd like something else, because I can do different stuff. Wearing my Spotify for Authors hat. People from Spotify gave me this at a conference. Thought I'd try it out. But I put a title on this saying Writing Darkness, which I'm indebted to Joanna Penn, who writes under JF Penn, writes various thrillers, best-selling thriller author, who does a lot of talking to the indie author community. And she's spoken about writing your darkness, because writing, darker scenes is quite an interesting thing, which I'll come on to. So, you find a lot of people who write scary thrillers, horror stories, thrillers can involve all kinds of nasty things happening to people, murders and tortures and so on, and so can crime. And somebody said to me the other day, they said, don't you find it unsettling? Because I explained that what I was I was going away from the sort of cozy crime a bit into some of the police procedurals. The first one, Lawful Duty, and the next one hasn't got a title yet. Another UK police procedural set in the 90s, in 1993 specifically, the year after the first one, Lawful Duty. And I think these are getting better as I'm going along. Obviously, you learn, and each one I try to get it as best as I can. But again, perhaps that's a topic for another day. So, is it sort of scary to think about these things? Now, in the past, I would have said yes, because I'm sort of one of those people, because I've always had quite a vivid imagination. So I can kind of scare myself. I'm not somebody who watches horror films, for instance. I probably could, but I have done, but I'm not particularly into that. I like kind of psychological type thrillers, where they have that twist of what's going on. That's always been something I liked in films and to a certain extent in books. But I didn't think I would write anything that went beyond the kind of cozy crime that we have with the Devonshire Mysteries. Which, nothing wrong with those. I love those books. Will there be more? I'm not sure. Again, but perhaps another day. One day, I imagine there will be, just because I really like those characters, and a lot of people like those characters. But going into the sort of more brutal aspects of crime is strangely fun. It's strangely sort of cathartic, I think. You get a feeling of facing these things and fictionalizing them. I would feel very differently about any real life traumatic situations. Okay, just to definitely say that. But within the context of fiction, I find it very enjoyable. I do read a lot of crime fiction. I watch quite a lot of crime dramas, film and TV series, and I enjoy them, which is a lot of people do. And it is a strange contrast. I know I'm friends with an a horror author, I was trying to say, called Lee Mountford, who writes scary books. And he's a very jolly, very happy, very friendly person. So I don't sort of come away feeling traumatized by these things. I come away thinking that was a good writing session. I got a lot done because it was quite intense, and I get a lot of words down, which if I feel they're good words, I'm happy with that. And it is quite an unusual thing, because I'm averse to that kind of thing, averse to that kind of risk, and yet I do enjoy writing about it. There is an element of, we all have fears, secret fears within ourselves, of what may happen to us or our loved ones. And so exploring that in a safe way and where nobody gets hurt because it's all entirely fictionalized is very therapeutic, I think. It can be, works okay for me anyway. I don't go away having bad dreams and thinking about it. It's kind of done and it's out there and it's gone. It's, vanished. Poof. So there is that aspect to it. And I think that is maybe why people like crime fiction and crime drama. It's kind of thinking about potentially bad things happening to people who we know don't really exist. Now, for instance, I'm not into true crime. I know so many people are. To that I find unsettling. I wouldn't want to do that. I don't particularly enjoy that format, and I wouldn't want to write a true crime story. The only way I would do that would be to do a sort of a kind of one or two remove, like I could write about a true crime author who something happens to them. I think that territory has probably been done, to death. But a lot of people these days in drama seem to be doing a podcast, don't they? So I'm doing a crime podcast, and hey, I've been involved in a real crime. Wow. So, again, nothing wrong with any of these things. It's just not what I particularly want to do. So it is quite, I don't know, maybe the word cathartic is too strong, but I think it is quite healthy to vent these feelings in a safe way. Because, when real crime happens to people, it's actually quite appalling. One thing I am quite careful with is, on the whole, I try not to glamorize it. I don't like that kind of trope you get where the hero is redeemed by being more violent than everybody else. I don't like that. Don't want to get involved in that. It's a big kind of Hollywood thing. A kind of Mike makes right thing. Don't like it. It's not true in real life on the whole. A lot of people who think it is are dangerous, horrible people who you don't want to be stuck in a lift with. Nobody likes bullies and things in real life. Mavericks would all get sacked instantly in real life. But, the sort of the glamorizing thing, if don't know how many people sort of come to a nasty end in like a, Mission Impossible movie or whatever. And that's kind of glamorizing it. It's all part of the excitement. We're sold this as a nice thing. So, I think I was quite surprised how much I enjoy writing. I have a character called Lehman. Gave him a really unlikely name for a start, which helps. I think his first name's Barry, which sounds like quite a friendly name. Barry Lehman, but he's not. He's kind of sociopathic, and he will correct your grammar just before he does away with you. But usually for a reason. He has his own set of morals that he applies, his own sort of ways of being that makes sense to him. But I make it clear that he is, in fact, a sort of, by and large, a cold-hearted sociopath who doesn't, have the same emotions and feelings and filters and limits that an ordinary sane person would have. And I realise the word sane is a bit loaded, but, an ordinary person, you or I, could not possibly do those things, I hope. If you could possibly do those things, please seek help. But yeah, so I don't think glamorizing it, but he is a sort of very cold, stone cold sort of killer. And I enjoy writing his character. I don't really know why. People say we all like a good villain. He's kind of my villain. I think he works within the context of the story. He's quite interesting in Lawful Duty. I don't want to do spoilers, but there is a big contrast between him and the main character. Detective Constable Speller is more sort of Boy Scoutish. He's a regular guy. He really wants to get the job done. He really wants to save people and catch bad guys and lock them up. Bad people, I should say. But he's not all those tropey things that I think are a bit boring now. He's not an alcoholic. He's not a womanizer. Often these detectives are all of the above, aren't they? They're sort of, they're mad, bad, and dangerous to know. And he's not like that. So I think that becomes more meaningful if he does transgress in any way. It becomes a massive thing for him because it goes against the grain. It's not what he wants to do. And I think that's more interesting. An ordinary person, like an everyman, put into a difficult situation. How does he deal with it? And then we can kind of think, well, how do we deal with it? Because he's not a cardboard cutout. I don't think he has a life. He has a home. He has a kitchen, and he goes home for dinner, and his wife gives him a packed lunch to take to work. So how he copes with it when he comes across murder and kidnap and so on. Kidnap in the first book. This one, several murders. The new one still doesn't have a title, but I think I'm on the home straight with it. By the way, that could be a thing if you're still listening to the end, if you're paid subscriber. Thank you if you're stuck with my rambling so far. Would you like exclusive snippets? Would you like me just to post pieces in advance? I mean, it will be very incomplete because the first draft will get changed. I can do that instead of this sort of thing. I could read them out. I could talk about them. You might like to get sneak peeks well ahead of everybody else, because there's no way I would put that out on the public posts. Just want to make that clear. It could only be for a few people because of several issues. One is I don't want to put stuff out there before it's published. Another is kind of happy to share work, but I like to share on the whole published, finished, polished work. It will be a slightly piecemeal experience because if I give you a piece of chapter 1 and then a few weeks later I'm giving you a piece of, chapter 4 or something, it may rely on something being in chapter 1 which you haven't seen because chapter 1 has since changed, because that happens quite a bit. So there's that concept of foreshadowing where you hint at something in chapter 1 so that it can happen in chapter 5 or chapter 20 or whatever, especially in crime, because you're thinking about clues and you're thinking about a chain of events. So you've got to think, if somebody's, in a certain place in chapter 20, is there a reference to it in chapter 2? Because then it becomes relevant that they're, in that place. Hope that makes sense. If they see something in chapter 5, they can remember it in chapter 20. But I might not know that until I get to chapter 20. I've got to go back to chapter 5 and put it in so they can appear to remember it. So it's a sort of sends you a bit crazy after a while thinking like this. But this is the job that I do, so I love doing. So I hope you enjoy reading them, hearing about them. That's probably it for now, but please do post comments, use the chat. Do you want sneak peeks of the new stuff? Do you want more live sessions? Do you want them to be at a different time? I see this time there's nobody joined. Before, I think there was a button saying email subscribers, and I said no, because then it emailed everybody, even if they weren't a paying subscriber, which I didn't want it to do. So I'll sort of sign off by saying thank you so much for being a paying subscriber. I hope you're getting something out of this. Do let me know, because I can produce stuff for you. You're doing your bit. You're helping me out, keeping the lights on. All very important. Every penny helps. It all goes into basically producing new books, and putting a tea bag in the mug to keep me writing, or a bit of coffee in the mug to keep me going. So thank you so much. All makes a difference. It's a lovely sunny day here in Devon, and I better go on and do my regular newsletter now to everybody. I'm still trying to do them each week with essays or news, one or the other on the whole. But look after yourselves. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.